Welcome back to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and we have some RPG horror stories to cover. But before we begin, y'all are insane. In a good way, I don't mean as an insult. It's not even a month. It hasn't even been a month. Why? For real though, thank you guys so much for the support on the channel, and I'm hoping you've been enjoying the videos and everything. It's been an interesting experiment. It feels weird that it's been just about a month. But anyway, today's horror stories are about bards going a little bit extra. Not the good kind of extra. That bard who is chaotic stupid. Okay, so this one isn't much of a horror story, just more of a that guy story. But I feel it belongs here. Grab some snacks and soda and enjoy the story, but here are the people involved. Dungeon Master, DM. Problem Player, Bard. The Lawful Evil Cleric, The Party Leader, Rogue. The Warlock who helped the party, Warlock. So I was new to D&D at the time, and I told DM that I'm a beginner to the game. He understood and told me he would show me the ropes for his campaign, and start at level 3. Now, session 0 came along and all, but one person showed up, but everyone who showed up was everyone I mentioned. DM then had this idea to do a one-shot, to get to know each other and their playing styles. It was suggested that we do the White Plume Mountains, and create characters between level 8 and level 12, or use the characters you have played previously. I quickly made my D&D Beyond sheet and played a Goliath Barbarian. Now this is where it takes a little turn, but the first 2 sessions are more mellow than the 3rd session, so I'll try to speed up explaining them. If the player told the DM that they're new, and the DM clearly knows the player is new, why are you throwing them into a level 8 one-shot? Maybe we should go like a level 1 one-shot or something, not jump directly to level 8. You know how confusing that would be for anybody new who's playing D&D to be at level 8 and get a ton of abilities? Warlocks get so much stuff right around a level 8, they're just difficult to know what it is you want to pick. They probably should have started off at like level 3 or something. Maybe I'm just being a little pedantic, but I feel like that's gonna be pretty confusing to the new player. We started the pub and the DM had us up our own things before we formed the party. I chose to check out the arm wrestling and did some arm wrestling as a bard cleric and rogue were talking and almost got into a brawl. The tavern owner NPC was like, no fighting. Meanwhile, a fire genasi who had a huge bag of, I don't know at the time what it was, but it would make me rich if I won. Now the bard sneaks under the table and grabs the bag, and I kid you not, he ate 10 platinum pieces from the bag and then tossed them aside, where everyone could see it. So I threw the arm wrestle and then got to the platinum that fell out of the bag and gave it back to the fire genasi. Okay, I don't want to be a dick and like harp on grammar or anything, but oh, it's gonna be an interesting one to read. Eating platinum is gonna just hurt yourself rather than anything. I mean, if you put anything in your body that your character should not be having, like platinum, and the DM rules that you have like a stomach ulcer, then that's kind of, up to you at that point. You kind of did it for yourself. Anyway, but the bard who ate 10 platinum pieces spat out 3. Me, the Warlock, and Cleric got into PvP against the Bard outside the tavern. Bard tried to run away, but we managed to make him unconscious, and Cleric used a medicine to get the platinum out and heal the Bard to avoid a death and save. That's pretty much the first session, except when the party at the shop tried to tame him for stealing a crossbow and money from the store. When the store owner gives Rogue a deal on a sword that she returns later. Alright, so the Bard not only eats platinum, also tries to steal things. PvP in a party probably is not a good thing, because now the bard has justification for why there could be a dick to the rest of the party, and the last thing we want to do is to have more PvP happen and ruin the OP's experience. But I mean, hey, if it gotta be done, it gotta be done. But since the bard clearly doesn't understand and continues stealing, I'm guessing things are gonna devolve further on. Now, in session 2, I'm skipping to the cave entrance because nothing notable happened until we got into the dungeon during the session. However, the cleric took the talisman of ultimate evil and hugged a kobold coming out of the mountain. I'm assuming it means kobold, not cobalt or cold. I'm assuming it doesn't mean cold, and later it says cobalt, and I think it means kobold, not cobalt. Listen, I understand autocorrect can screw over stories left, right, and center. Autocorrect screws me over whenever I send any sort of text messages, which is why I kinda stopped sending text messages because it always causes misunderstandings. Using the talisman to kill it unknowingly. Then Bard shot the kobold who threw the findings and ran away. Bard shot him dead with a crossbow. The party got mad at Bard for killing him for no reason. But wait, if the cleric hugged somebody to try to attack them with the talisman, right? Did they try to grapple? Yeah, okay, yeah, already cleric killed somebody. I mean, Bard killing somebody, you know. If your party don't want to murder Hobo, you probably should discuss with your party ahead of time. Hey guys, let's not just go slaughtering everything coming out of the caves. But, I mean, I can't blame the Bard because the cleric already killed somebody. The Bard is just killing whoever's running away. I mean, not exactly the most noble thing to do, but I mean, so far so good. But apparently it gets spicy at 3rd session, so let's keep reading. Once we got to the dungeon and did some Mortal Kombat stuff on some orcs. Some orcs surrendered as the Bard said, "I'm gonna make you orcs my slaves." Then the orcs pressed a button and 2 doors fell down. But we managed to get it through one side, with everyone except the Bard. He went the other way and went to the flesh golem puzzle. He guessed right and made it to the next room. The 3rd session got worse with the Bard. He stayed vigilant while the party rested after beating the vampire. There was a big boom and my barbarian woke up trying to figure out what it was. Keep in mind, she had 6 intelligence now instead of 10 intelligence due to putting the wrong key in a puzzle on session 2. The Bard had 20 intelligence. He suggested, whoa, Bard has 20 intelligence? I mean, maybe just really good rolls or something, I don't know, but I mean, are you guys playing D&D 5e? It might be not, maybe a different version of D&D, I think, maybe. Basically, warlocks, sorcerers, and bards basically have to max out, and I guess paladins as well. Have to primarily focus on charisma because it's our spellcasting modifier. Higher charisma, higher rolls. But if the bard has 20 intelligence, I mean, congratulations on being very smart, but I mean, like, what? He suggested we split up the party again, because it worked out last time. I and the barbarian in character argued. He plunged down a hole that was very long as the party cut the rope and he managed to get on the ladder and survive. The other members walked down and walked through an archway and into another dungeon. At this point it isn't a one-shot, it's a dungeon campaign. A female red wizard came and she talked to us about the Doom Vault. Bard then answered 2 of the 3 questions. Can I have you as my prize? Can you come with us after we beat this? Okay, hold on, let's backtrack a little bit. So, when Bard mentions splitting the party, typically you don't really want to split the party, D&D 5e. I'm assuming this is D&D 5e. This is under the assumption this is D&D 5e. I think most TTRPGs are pretty cooperative games anyway, so splitting the party is a surefire way of getting the campaign derailed or have some sort of chaotic things happen. And as a DM myself, if you split the party, that makes things really confusing to go through, and it makes everything go a lot more hectic for the DM. But if the bard decided still, like, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and just plunge down a hole and go for it, why are you guys cutting the rope for the bard? Like, let's be pretty fair, right? If the bard is plunging down somewhere to go so low, why are you cutting the rope to make sure the bard, like, what, falls? The bard was able to catch him on a ladder, which, I mean, I guess good for the bard, but why are you guys cutting the rope? Having a that guy in a campaign sucks, yeah, but don't be the other that guy or the whole other that group. The bard asking the wizard to be like, can I have you as my prize? I mean, yeah, it's genuinely weird, but let's see how that turns out. Now we go through some rooms, and now it's time for the big part, and I feel everyone handled it well. We were at the door where we could hear cheering and people there. The rogue, who took leadership of the group, checked out the place first, then came back to us and told us to be quiet and blend in. Bard wanted to do this the difficult way. Rogue warned him, if you do anything dumb, we won't save you. And everyone but the bard managed to blend in pretty well as the rogue did the talking. Meanwhile, the bard disguised himself and took a tiefling's beer bottle, while the tieflings had it in his hand. Hey, I was drinking that, give it back, right now. Gimme. The bard said, I will get you another drink. And then the bard was like, I'm a pee in a bottle. The whole party and even DM said no and did another action. And then bard spat in it and put mucus on it and gave it back to the tiefling. The tiefling got angry and wanted to bash his skull in. Yeah, rightfully so. Do you think anybody would be happy about getting a bottle back full of mucus? Or let alone pee? Disgusting. The boss then made him pay everyone drinks. He paid like, I think 2,000 platinum for everyone. 2,000 platinum? 2,000 platinum is a lot. Wait, hold on 1 second. Let me do the math on that. So if 10 gold pieces is about 1 platinum, then oh my god, 20,000 gold. The bard paid 20,000. The bard even had 20,000 gold? What is this? What is this one shot? How does the player have this much gold? What? What is going on in this game? My barbarian gave the tiefling a brand new beer bottle. Then the bard, who got lucky, we all thought learned a lesson, but no, went to steal from the most exposed pouch. It was Red Wizard's, who the bard tried to distract from. But the Red Wizard slashes his throat. Then at this point, my character was fed up, and then the party got some attacks in, and got teleported into the arena, with a giant fiend that would kill and knock him unconscious, and passed the death save, as an elf NPC got the bard and stabilized him, and took him somewhere we don't know yet. And meanwhile, the party members successfully infiltrated the area, and I think DM handled it well. The bard was frustrating to the group and uncomfortable. The next day, I talked to another DM about the bard, since the bard was in that group as well. It's a mod of the World of Terra server, where the actual campaign of my group would take place. But due to the scheduling conflicts at the moment, we had not session 1 yet for that campaign, and she can't do anything right now since the dungeon campaign was not in the server. But I found out ever since he joined the World of Terra server, he always acts like this, and I'm kind of suspicious of his age. He claims he's 13, but he sounds 11 or 12, and my DM plans to talk with him before he decides to kick him or whatever. And that's fine, it's a happy ending. But I'm hoping the DM gets to the bard and maybe discuss with them like, hey, you probably shouldn't do these sort of things that are anti-group or anti-player, and just be more cooperative and, you know, all that. The OP being happy about the problem player being gone, I hope it means from like, I'm happy that the problem player is gone, not that I'm happy the 13-year-old got booted kind of thing. That's what I'm just hoping for. I hope, I'm not trying to OP blame, but I'm hoping the intentions are here for the benefit of the group and the DMs and stuff, and not because, like, you know, like a personal grudge. Also, one more thing to mention. Bard told me his character had split personality disorder as an excuse, but I told him to be careful when you put mental disorders into characters, because it could only get people upset and uncomfortable easily. But they did not tell or ask DM for the heads up to see if it was okay, and I don't know if I'm just too hard on the kid who may have no idea how playing D&D properly works. However, DM warned us, if you do stupid shit, you're going to have problems, meaning that actions have consequences. It's not like he wasn't warned multiple times. If the bard didn't mention about like the split personality disorder, which I mean, some players want to have these sort of things for their characters, that's fine. But you should probably let your DM know that you want to do that, not like, you know, at the start at session 0, not midway through. The bard does sound like a problem player, but he possibly could be because they're 13 and immature, and, you know, most 13-year-olds do end up acting out. I know I would. I know I did. The one thing I will say to the OP, I don't know if the OP will read through it, but it's a lesson to everyone. If you write anything, it's always good to proofread, because I had a really difficult time reading through it. I'm gonna be honest. I had a difficult time reading through it. I don't know if maybe they were writing really fast, or maybe like, English is not the first language. Listen, English was not my first language either, but I feel like it's still important if you write anything at all that you're gonna have other people read, is always proofread. I mean, you can even have AI at this point proofread your stuff, which is insane. ChatGPT can easily proofread your stuff, and just, I know the usage of AI has been a little bit of a concern lately and kind of a controversy, but if AIs provide tools like proofreading your work and helping you make sentences that read a little bit better, have a bit of an extra flow. I'm not saying the writer did terrible job writing, it's just maybe working a little bit on the structure flow of the sentences might be a good thing, honestly. I'm not OP blaming, by the way. I'm just, you know, it's just difficult to get through. The next story that we have is more bard stories. So let's go ahead and get on with that. Snake Lady wants to be the only big and chunky bard. Bizarre title, I know, but that's the best way to describe the situation I found myself in. So I was playing a campaign on Discord with random people after applying for a game and being recruited. The sessions were text-based, and under requirement of the DM, everyone put their triggers and red flags on the channel, so they and everyone else would be wary and avoid that. The campaign setting was basically this. There was a country full of prospects for every kind of person, uncharted territories for wanderers to explore, untouched mines for those who want riches, and many exotic cuisine and beverages for connoisseurs. However, this all changed with the arrival of an everlasting and hazardous rain, forcing everyone to either stay indoors or walk around in raincoats. The party was composed of a variant human ranger, me, a tiefling monk, a serpent rogue, and an earth genasi paladin. But the character of the story are, name change of course, Naya, our problem player, playing a serpent folk bard, Paul, the player playing a gymnastic paladin who made a huge mistake, DM as the DM. All of our characters had their reasons to embark on the last train to take people to the country for whatever reason. Session 1 involved doing some RP on a bar wagon, making introductions in character and doing some chit-chatting. After that, a group of thieves hijacked the train and combat ensued. It flowed pretty great and everyone was satisfied, both in and out of game. The session ended shortly after and we were rewarded with reaching level 2. After that, I said my goodbye to the people in chat and went on my merry way. I took a bath, had lunch, watched something, the usual. When I checked my phone, there was a DM from Paul. It was him apologizing for what happened on the server. I was confused and checked on there. Summing it all up, the one who stood there for some post-session talk asked what builds they were planning on, asking for advice. Paul said he was planning on multiclassing his paladin with bard, so he got some proficiencies and magic. Naya wasn't very happy to hear this. She said she just dropped a bard level on her rogue and demanded Paul to don't do that. A whole argument ensued that, looking at the time of the messages, lasted almost 2 hours. Is that a problem to multiclass into 2 separate ones? I mean, listen, one is a rogue bard, the other one is a paladin bard. Clearly they're gonna be different, but having them be like, you know, experts in skills and stuff and having access to various different kinds of magics, but I mean, that's fine. What's wrong with them both multiclassing? I don't get the story. You see, Naya had a big no-no. She absolutely hates class overlap because I had a terrible experience with this once, according to her. This discussion was a back and forth on her demanding Paul to refrain from doing so in the near future, and Paul refusing to abide by that, citing that she can't tell how he'll play and build his character. Note 1. Naya never put grievances on class overlapping on her triggers and red flags. Note 2. She doesn't have issues with the class overlapping in all of itself, only with her classes. So if anyone wanted to dip a few levels in Monk, for example, she's A-okay. Okay, so Naya has a problem with multiclassing and overlapping into different multiclasses, right? But I mean, I feel like it's a little bit silly of a concern. If Naya had a problem, right? If you have any sort of problem with it, right? The best way to convince somebody to maybe agree before you agree to disagree is to agree with your like suggestion is being like, hey, so I don't want to have a multi-class overlap, but hey, I was wondering if you could maybe switch to like a, I don't know, a warlock subclass with like the hexblade subclass, right? Because I mean, I think warlocks get those subclasses at like level 1. So you could be a hexblade, and paladin and hexblade warlock are very popular combinations. If you're trying to find a resolution to a problem that is not really that big of a problem, I don't think. The best way to get somebody to agree with you is by finding alternate ways to solve the resolution that is beneficial for everybody, right? Paladin would get a new subclass or a new class to multiclass into that would benefit them the most, and Naya could stay as a rogue bard. Anyway, let's see how this plays out. I honestly thought this whole debacle was stupid and everyone sucks here situation, but I didn't pay any mind. Other than that, my plans on multiclassing as a rogue to get some extra proficiencies went down the drain. Ooh, I am sorry, OP. The next day, Paul announced to my DM that he's leaving the server on the DM's request, and later DM would say that Paul was kicked due to a disagreement. Wait, what? The DM took Paul's? I mean, I guess it depends on what people said, right? If maybe like there was an argument and Paul was getting way too aggressive or heated, then maybe there's a reason. But in this situation, I don't think Paul did anything wrong by saying, hey, I just would like to multiclass into a bard. I want to be a bard paladin. What? Why does the DM? What? We're also to have a goblin sorcerer, but she missed the first session and announced that she'd leave due to IRL reasons. So just 3 players for now. Great. DM assured us they recruited some new people and that session 2 was going to be purely RP. Session 2 comes, we arrive at our destination and capital of the city. The session is mostly about us exploring the city, meeting the people, getting a place to settle for the time being. And this place had a local inn. There was this half-human, half-Goliath receptionist and bartender lady. My character, being well-mannered and dorky guy, asked for a room for everyone and complimented the place, accidentally letting out a phrase that could be perceived as flirty, but on a twist of events, she was showing interest. Monk was already in for a nice arm wrestling competition, while the patrons and Naya, well, she was very bubbly and outgoing out of game, but During this, she was quiet and her character was staring intensely at the bartender. She then demanded the DM to know how tall the bartender was. You see, Naya's character race is on the large size category, and these messages then ensued. I want to know how tall she is. Well, she is big. She looks human, but she may have giant or Goliath heritage to be this big. This has nothing to do with the story. I just think tall ladies are nice. But how tall is she? Is she taller than me? Well, a roll for investigation. Wait, you need to investigate someone's height? What? Wouldn't it be perception? She rolled and passed. She's around 12 feet tall. Or you are 15 feet tall. 12 feet tall, oh my god. Dude, I'm like 6 foot. Twice my height. Oh, thank goodness. I was afraid she'd be bigger than me. Me and the monk player found this strange, and both reassured her that she'd be the tallest one among the party, and a lot of common races. She then blurted out, "But I want to be the biggest one there is." Not much happened after that, and the session ended. But then, the same thing happened again. Hours later, it's now DM who comes in my DMs and tells me they're going to end the campaign and delete the server due to incompatibility between the players and DM. And after that, I said, okay, and the server was deleted a few minutes later. What? Hold on, what? Just out of nowhere like that? Huh? Why? What do you mean incompatibility? Did Naya say something to DM? What is going on? I am so confused. I have the sneaky suspicion it was Naya, since me and Monk player were all chill and we're okay with things happening in the games. My tinfoil hat theory is that in the DMs between Naya and the DM, she couldn't stand the idea that any humanoid character, or worse, any creature, could be bigger than her character, and, much like Paul, a fight ensued, resulting in the DM being so frustrated they canned the entire thing. Well, that sucks. This to happen in 2 sessions instead of dragging on. Oh, okay, hold on one second. So, first the DM kicks Paul out of the disagreement because Naya has problem with it. But like, why do you choose Naya's side in that situation? And then this happens, and maybe I guess Naya makes a problem with, okay, so let's assume this tinfoil theory is correct. We have no idea what the conversation was about, but let's assume the tinfoil theory about Naya being pissed. There are other NPCs mind you, that could be taller than Naya, or the 15 foot by the way, really hecking tall for most D&D races out there. Naya is already 15 feet tall and could be upset at the DM for making other races or creatures taller than Naya. Let's assume the tinfoil theory is correct and that's what they had a conversation about. Do you know how many creatures out there in D&D that are going to be massive or monsters, just ginormous? There are a lot of evil threats that you could be facing, and a lot of cool creatures that you could be finding in World of D&D. It depends on your group, it depends on the whether it's a homebrew or module, whatever. There are a lot of creatures in D&D that are massive, just ginormous Leviathan-sized things. I feel like what the DM should have done is realized, oh, Paul was not the problem, Naya is. Remove Naya, get Paul back, and then they can continue playing, unless there was some sort of disagreement between Paul and DM or something. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we will never know. We will never find out unless the OP updates the story. But if you assume that Naya had something to do with it, then that's pretty... That sucks, man. That sucks. That sucks for everyone. One player ruining the campaign to the point where the DM literally shuts the whole thing down. I mean, like, that's extra. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.